Ciao, everybody. Welcome to week 164. And I say ciao because I'm in the mood. I'm in Italy right now. I'm in Greve and Chianti. Matthew Gravina, all-star spring team agent, getting married tomorrow. So here we are. I was cruising around Rome yesterday, and I kind of forgot to do the market report. And yes, this is a microphone in the beard because it's the best place for it. My mouth, the sound, it's like right there. So whatever. It's gonna work this way. And sorry, the market report didn't come out yesterday. Actually, I'm not sorry. Who am I to say sorry about that? It's out today. So there you go. You're welcome. So what are we going to talk about? Week 164. Why the hell is the Toronto market still rallying? I mean, that was the topic of the report last week. And it's really not much of a surprise. I mean, it's a surprise that it's happening this fast. Honestly, if you are a seasoned real estate professional who is in tune with the market and knows what's going on, you expected 2023 to be relatively slow for the entire year. There weren't likely to be any positive interest rate news. There wasn't likely to be any positive interest rate news, but I should have known that buyers would start responding to good inflation news by making more comfortable purchases because good inflation news means less pressure on interest rates and blah blah blah. So I just didn't see it coming this early. We're barely out of the first quarter of the year, and we've been flying since mid first quarter, like flying pretty damn high, with prices in some cases at peak levels. So even some of our clients that made purchases in February of 2022, their properties today are mostly back to that value. But again, that's what a lot of people were kind of talking a lot about is like all these losses, and they were speaking about these losses as if they were real losses, where they're not. And there's a lot of drama and fear and all kinds of nonsense being perpetuated about properties that sold for less now because people were underwater and blah blah blah, and using these anomalies and these one-off situations, painting the entire market with that brush. The same thing happened last week when there was a developer. I'm not going to name them because I really don't have 100% of the details yet. There's a pretty major developer which was rumored to be going bankrupt and misusing buyers' deposit funds and things like that. And of course, the usual suspects on your favorite social apps were going all in about, see, I thought it was safe to buy pre-construction condos. I thought you said it was safe. Like just this bullshit that is actually not a reflection of what the market is. Because buying pre-construction is generally a very safe investment. Have a couple developers, or have more than a couple developers, gone under over the past couple of years as they tried to navigate COVID? 100%. Did any of those buyers lose their money? Nope. But did some of those buyers lose the potential gain they would have had if they were able to close on that property? Yes, they did. So it did affect some people that are probably not able to buy, or actually, who knows? Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But some of these developers did harm some buyers, but nobody lost real money. And that's really the real thing that I want to focus on, is that when a lot of people perpetuate this nonsense, it creates a lot of fear in the market when there's already enough uncertainty. But certainty is really the important thing that I wanted to talk about. And I've talked about this a number of times over the past few posts, is that's why the market's doing what it's doing right now, is because there's certainty in the air. There hasn't been much of a negative news cycle in a while. I mean, since Silicon Valley Bank and all those other banks kind of took a major hit last month, or was it even before last month? Yeah, last month. And even that was, negative. It was negative news, but there was a lot of positivity around what it did potentially to our fixed rate products, and put some downward pressure on them as people pulled their money out of riskier investments, put them in the safer government-backed bonds, which put downward pressure on fixed rates. So ultimately, that was not necessarily a bad thing, and that created a little bit more certainty in the rate environment. And then all of a sudden, last month we have for this month's inflation numbers came out at 4.3%, which is actually a lot lower than I expected it to even be. So all of this kind of quote unquote good news after good news since the January 25th announcement has created just a ton of certainty in the air. And just be careful who you're listening to out there. I'm trying to ask questions of the people you're listening to. Like, find out if you keep asking why, you'll eventually get to a pretty not an undramatic. What's the opposite of dramatic? Anyway, you'll get to a pretty calm answer, a pretty calm position. And there's really no reason for you to be all freaked out about little things that happen here and there, but it's really important for you to understand how those things could affect you, and usually they don't. So inflation is heading in the right direction right now. Even downward pressure on some food prices, which is very interesting because food costs have been going up dramatically, and seeing those come down a little bit is good news. We'll see what happens after May. How will the increase in oil price reflect in inflation numbers for the April numbers when they come out in May? I guess that will still be too soon to tell. So we'll have to kind of wait for June for the May numbers to come out there. But overall, I don't really see any reason for buyers to stop buying right now. There's really nothing to trigger. There's no trigger event for them to kind of remove themselves from the market at this point. The good news is there are some sellers better supplying the market at the moment. We've had now a nice jump in supply week over week. When looking at the urban communities, when looking at Kingston Road, when looking at even Leaside, when looking at the north urban communities like the Rosedales, all the way up to like 401 with the York Mills, Bayview, those kind of areas, they're all seeing a nice bump in supply, but they're not all seeing a nice bump in quality supply. Like our clients offered on a home on Curzon Street the other day. It is probably the nicest home in the East End, extremely overpriced. So we're kind of working a negotiation right now to see where we can get to. But even at that $2 million price point in Toronto's urban communities where there haven't been any $2 million sales in a very long time, we're starting to see that number hit again. And this is a semi detached house we're talking about here on not one of the best streets in the East Side either. So, but it's getting there. And it's one of those streets that has improved dramatically and will continue to improve. This particular street, Curzon, had a bit of a stigma around it for some reason. Not the prettiest street you enter via. There's a gas station on the end, whatever. But it's actually changed quite a bit. So a lot of new product is coming onto that street that will be a lot more expensive than it is today. So those are the kind of streets that are kind of in between, on the east side of Leslieville, but not quite in the East Leslieville area, but close enough that are getting a little bit more attention now, especially from developers. And even that kind of product is selling really well now. We've got properties that can't even be lived in right now. Like we were offering on another one the same night we offered on this Curzon property for another client in Cabbagetown. And some people are kind of scared of Cabbagetown, if I'm honest. Like if they don't know the area, they're going to be scared of Cabbagetown. And this was I think it was listed just over $1 million. Completely rough around the edges, a 15-foot wide semi on a short lot with no parking. Still managed to get 9 offers and sell for just under $1.3 million, and it probably needed a good, five to $700,000 put into this house after. So even that kind of property is getting a ton of action. So I don't see a single property type that is not getting a bunch of action right now. There are some, like my house is on the market right now. It's in the West Hill community, this small little enclave of West Hill that a lot of people don't know about. I'm priced high. I mean, I'm doing the exact opposite that I would tell my clients to do, actually. I would not, ever advise a client to like test the market to see, if you can get that big number. But because it's my house, I can experiment a little bit and just make sure that the advice I'm giving people is actually correct. But, my house has been on the market since last Thursday. It'll be a week tomorrow. And we're having our second showing just now. I didn't really want to fill the house with a bunch of people because it's a special house that's unique and it's not for everyone. So it's one of those houses that will get one or two showings and then an offer. So it really depends on what kind of house you have, where it is. In my area, development type properties are getting a lot of big offers, but not so much the big finished product like I have. So you really have to be in tune with the market that you're in. And that's the problem. Like this agent that has this house we're offering on for a client, the agent's not from the area. They do not know what they're really talking about when they're trying to sell this property. The number that they're going for is so far beyond what the neighborhood can support. It's crazy. And the comparable that this guy is using is from North Riverdale. And when we're talking on the phone and he's trying to justify this huge price, which is multiple six figures away from where we are right now in the negotiation, and he's trying to tell me that this house in North Riverdale is a good comparable for the one we're offering on, like you can't get anywhere in that discussion until you get that person to understand that what they're saying is utter garbage. So it just sucks to see so many people underrepresented like that. Like it's cool. Like your brother might be an agent, your aunt might be an agent, and you just want to, your best friend might be an agent, and you really want to support them. But at the same time, you really have to make sure you take off that friend or family hat for a second and really ask them the deep question like, listen, I really appreciate you as a friend or as a family member, and I want to support your business in real estate. But like, do you really know what you're doing in this neighborhood where my house is? So I really, really need to drive that message home that it's super important for you to not just give this business to a friend or family as default, but to make sure you sit down with them and help them. And hopefully they can help you understand that they know the neighborhood where your home is. Anyway, that's kind of like a tangent. But like I said, I am in Chianti in Italy right now, and I've got a lot of wine to go and drink, and I really would rather not be doing this. So you should read this report. It's a longer one than usual. I wrote it on the train ride from Rome here to Florence. And the Wi-Fi is surprisingly good on that train, except for when you go under the tunnel, so it does cut out every now and then. But anyway, like right now, if you're a buyer, you're competing on pretty much everything, especially condos. Not especially condos, but condos as well now. You can see the average price for condos and the number of sales way up now, which is pretty cool to see. We haven't seen that for a very long time. And for houses as well, that's really not a surprise. So sellers, you're going to get a little bit more money, but sellers, you really have to make sure you close all those, like all the potential objections that a buyer might have. Buyers are savvier today than I have ever seen them. So just make sure you are absolutely dealing with every little imperfection in your home, and your agent is walking you through all that stuff. I find it pretty crazy sometimes. Like I'm a part of a lot of Facebook groups and a lot of community Facebook groups. And oftentimes you'll have people in those Facebook groups talking about, um, oh, we're about to sell our house and we need this recommendation or that recommendation. And like, I find it crazy that people have signed a listing agreement with an agent and their agent's not the one handling the fixes that these people are talking about. Like, it's flipping mind blowing to me that that's what's happening out there, considering like the white glove service that the Spring Team provides. But anyway, I digress. Please read the report. Please subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Really appreciate your support. And if you've been here to the Chianti region or to Tuscany, to Florence, send me your recommendations. And we're here for a couple days. Then we're back to Rome on Friday. Then back to Toronto on Saturday. So just a quick one here, but I'm really excited to be here. Really excited to still be able to do this while I'm here. And love you all. So thanks so much. And peace out, everyone.